Hey, this is Jason with 4W Knives. Got a project coming your way. I am still planning on doing my fish hook video, which is more than about 3/4 of the way finished, but I'm waiting on something before I can finish it up. So I had a friend that reached out and wanted to know if I could make a knife out of this old crescent wrench. It belonged to her husband, and she would like it to be turned into a knife for her grandson. Now, you have to excuse Doug. He insisted that he was going to help me. I couldn't get him to stop, so, and I don't feel like being mean to him, so I'm going to let him be part of this. So anyways, I've done some research. They can be hardened. I don't know that they make a great knife as far as knife steel, but they can be hardened. I've seen a couple of videos on it. She really didn't care if it stayed in the wrench form or not, but I did see a couple of pretty cool ones that did. So I'm gonna cut it off right here and try to leave from about this point back the handle. It'll actually be, I think I'm gonna start it right here where the C on the crest, it's like crestola or something to that effect is. And then the only thing I'm gonna do to the handle is possibly try to make the hole larger and slightly curve it just so it's a little more comfortable in the hand. Style of blade, it's gonna be something simple. Just something like this, just gonna be a little wider and a little longer. Doug is being very lovable today, so you'll have to excuse him. But all right, well, hopefully I don't mess up this wrench, and it's gonna be messed up. Hopefully I can turn it into something good. And if for some reason me keeping it a wrench doesn't work, I'll stop what I'm doing and I'll salvage whatever steel I can, and I'll make a sand eye out of it. That'd be the easier way to go, but I wanted it to resemble what his grandfather used. So anyways, hope you enjoy. Okay, I start off on my log splitter press to try to save a little bit of time and also give a good square point to start off the handle or the blade. Then I move over to my little 25-pound table power hammer and try to thin it out a little bit more. It's just, I figured it'd give more even blows than what I would with the hammer, and it saves time. Okay, once I get it thinned out and squared up, I take it to the anvil and start to shape the knife. My hammer blows getting better, more consistent. I know their techniques still aren't great, but it is getting better. I can tell because it doesn't take as long to shape. It doesn't seem like it takes as much effort. Once I get the tip and everything formed, I start the bevels. Using the technique I did on the camp knife, where I start on what looks like the spine of the knife, and by the time I get to the tip, everything curls up to where I want it to be for the shape. This process went pretty good, I think. Maybe one of the better attempts I've had at forging the bevels, so I guess I'll know more once I get it to the grinder. All right, I take my time throughout this forging process. I try to make sure each blow is accounted for, and I keep the knife straight, keep the bevels as even as possible. I just figured if normal cases I would have some waste on the knife that I could grind off. I'm not gonna have that on this one, so I wanted to get it as close to a finished product after forging as possible. There is gonna be grinding. I'm nowhere near the caliber of getting it down to a forged shape exactly, but I'm getting closer. And I just wanted to make sure that, like I said, I didn't have to go grind a bunch off just to make the knife square. So I took my time, tried to get any hammer marks out of the bevels that I could. and just work it slowly, methodically, and try to do things right the first time. Some last minute straightening on the vise. Vise works really good at this. Gives a good square jaw and gets everything straight. I'm able to move the handle of the knife to make it work and get it ready for grinding. Once it cools down, I head over to the 2x72 and start to put in the final shape. As I'm getting the belly of the knife shaped up, I notice there's a crack near the tip. I'm guessing it's where that little, I don't know, that little longer piece that I left on it that I tried to get into the knife. I'm guessing it caused a cold shut. So now you see I'm grinding at the top of it to try to get rid of that. So it alters the shape of the knife, but I still think it comes out to a pretty decent shape. After I get the shape, I try to get the shoulder squared up on the grinder and then start to do the bevels. By the end, you'll see there's some hammer marks in there, and I just don't get it. I thought I really tried to keep those hammer marks from being a part of it. I don't know if I just had my hammer turned wrong. I guess I'll just learn. I'm hoping after heat treat I can clean it up so they're not quite so in your face, but a little bit will be okay. But that one that's going to be in the middle, I was extremely disappointed. But I want to go ahead, I'll heat treat it, do my finish grinding, and take a look and see. I'd hate to have this be the final look, but it is what it is, and I'm going to carry on. Right here, next part, you'll see me doing my thermal cycling. I'll heat it up to dark orange, light red, whatever you want to call it. Let it set to room temp. I'll do that 3 times, and then the next scene that you'll see, I'll be quenching it. All right, I really am sorry, but I forgot to turn the camera on for the quench. You're just gonna have to trust me. We had a red hot knife that went into the quench, caused some flames, and it actually got hard. This is it out of the temper. I just did one cycle at 400 degrees for 2 hours. I think that probably will be enough. After I wire brush it, it's time for the finish grinding. I'll go through my normal progression of belts. I'll start with an 80 and then go to 120, 220, 400, and then end with a conditioning belt. It was pretty evident right as I began here doing my finish grinding, I wasn't going to be able to get rid of that big old hammer mark in the middle of the blade. I think I may have a way of making it not look so bad. But I went ahead and ground it even, as smooth as what I could. I'll end with the conditioning belt to kind of clean up the handle as well as the blade. And then I'll go put my mark on it, and then I'm thinking about either gun bluing the whole thing or putting it in some ferric chloride. So it's about wrapped up here other than some sharpening in the sheath. So I'll bring back or cut back to a finished knife here in just a minute. My sharpening process is the same on every knife. I start on the 2x72 low speed and use a 220 belt. Get a good edge, work up a good burr on both sides, and then I will take it over to the workshop and I'll go through their series of belts, ending with a leather belt on it, and usually does a pretty good job of getting it sharp. I was happy with the sharpness of this being a wrench knife. It would cut you. All right, got it all finished up. I decided to keep the satin finish look. I dipped it in some ferric chloride and didn't like the way it looked. Cleaned it up a little bit on the grinder after doing that, and ended up decent product. Probably not my favorite finish with the hammer marks left in it, but the customer's happy, so I guess I'm happy. I'll try some different things my next attempt. All right, here you are, a wrench knife. Not my best, but I'll do this again someday. I appreciate you watching. If you would, like and subscribe so I can grow this channel, and check me out at 4W Knives. Have a good one.